Welcome to Anitude, a relationship podcast about love, friendships, and everything in between. So welcome to the Anitude podcast with Anna Burr. I'm here with Liz. Everybody knows Liz. She's one of my most featured guests on the podcast. And she is on here today because she's known me the longest besides my own family. But we went to high school together in Michigan. So that's the topic of today's episode is, our high school days. So she knows all my deepest, darkest secrets from high school. She was there from the, younger days of Anitude. So Liz, say hello to the listeners.
Hey, guys.
She's back, everyone. She's back. So Liz and I met when I was in 9th grade. We were on the tennis team together. And if you follow my Instagram, I posted a sneak peek of what this episode was going to be about. My Instagram is Anitude Pod. Go take a look. As you can see, you've never seen me and Serena Williams in the same room because, I might just be, even though I think I won like 3 games total my whole high school career, but that's neither here nor there. But me and Liz met on the tennis team. Liz, can you tell everybody what your first thoughts were when you met me or you saw me on that tennis team that day?
I met you. You were in 9th, and I believe I was in 10th.
Yes.
And I joined the tennis team because I had just gotten to that school, and I was like, I'm going to join some stuff to try to make friends. And there was a girl in the grade above me named Nikki. You know who you are with your teeth.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to. That's good.
Do you remember this?
Yes. I remember which girl you're talking about. And I'm not going to discuss her dental hygiene, but it wasn't very good. But anyway, go ahead.
And she told me not to talk to you and Brittany, which I never met before and didn't know because you guys were wearing tube socks to practice.
That is such a high school thing. Like, not because we were bad people, not because we were like criminals. It was because we were wearing tube socks that you shouldn't talk to us.
Yeah. So that actually drew my attention to you because I don't think I would have noticed you. But then I was like, the tube sock girls.
The tube sock twins. But yeah, I need tube socks to make a comeback. Those were like, there was no purpose of me wearing tube socks. It was just like a fashion statement. I think it was like the punk phase, like Avril Lavigne, like you wear tube socks. It was tube socks and those shorts, those softy shorts that I could probably not fit into now, that where you would roll it down, you would roll them down and you would see like the white elastic part. You show the waistband, and like the farther you go, the skinnier you were. So I could only roll mine down once. So, or else I'd be showing ass. But now I could not even put those on. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about my first impression of Liz is that I thought she was annoying because she has a very distinct laugh. And now I love it because it's like, yeah, it's a laugh that, I thought she was faking it, but she's been doing it for the total 16 years that I've known her. So it's a true laugh. And I was like, oh my God, this girl's so annoying. And our mutual friend, Brittany, had gone to school with Liz previously. So she kind of knew of Liz. And we had decided we weren't going to like talk to her either. Like, she's so annoying. So fast forward, we became best friends. And I was in her wedding. She's in mine. Et cetera, et cetera. So that didn't stop us. The tube socks and the laughing and the petty like nonsense from high school didn't stop us. Our love continues. But so let's go into our high school year. So we played tennis. Me and Liz were actually doubles partners. We did not take our roles very seriously. We'd be like on the court dancing and twerking and like acting a damn fool, eating snacks while playing. Very unprofessional. I'm cringing thinking about it. I'm probably like, and tennis is like a quiet, like serious sport. It's not like for fun and games. We were there for the fun and the games and the snacks. We would show up on the court. People would like blow us out. Like they wouldn't even, it would be like two like babies playing against like adults. That's what it looked like. So yeah, that was our tennis career. It was not very good, but
I don't know. I didn't take it serious, and it didn't bother me that like you said you won 3. I personally won 0, and that never bothered me.
I actually won a tournament once. I went to like the finals for something, and it was after I became like a singles player. I started taking it seriously my junior and senior year, and I actually won a tournament, and I was actually not bad. I think if I would have applied myself, I could have gone places with my tennis skills, but I couldn't see the big picture. I was like, this is just for fun and for the uniform. Anyway, so more about high school. So in high school, we were like, I feel like we were not popular, but we weren't losers. Like, if that makes any sense to the listeners.
You hung out with the popular girls, even though like your main clique wasn't the popular girls, you still like could hang out with them and talk to them and be friends with them.
Yeah, I would hang out with the quote unquote popular girls, but I wasn't like interested in being like the most popular girl in school, because to me back then, being the most popular girl in school meant you had to either sleep with people, which I was not down with back then, because I was like didn't even know what a penis looked like back then. But you either had to sleep with people or party, and my mom was not about to like have me out here partying and drinking. So I was not interested in being like the most popular girl, but I hung out with everybody. Like I even hung out with people that I remember somebody said like, if there's a school shooting, you'll like live, because I was like, I would hang out with.
Told you that?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. Because I hung out with this kid that everybody called like disgusting, because there was like a rumor that he like did something with like his nephew. Whatever. We'll talk about that sidebar because it's like alleged, but nobody wanted to sit next to him or talk to him. But I was in driver's training with him, and like I was never a mean girl, so I would talk to him in class and like all this stuff. And like I remember him saying to me in class, like, you're the only person that's nice to me at this school. And then one of like the people in class was like, yeah, if there's somebody shoots up the school, we know who's gonna live. So yeah, but I did take part in a lot of like nonsense roasting of people. I remember we used to roast. Were you in class with that girl, Tiffany? You know what Tiffany I'm talking about. I don't want to give out last names. We're at Spanish class. I don't think you were, because I used to roast her every day because I didn't really care for her. So yeah, I used to roast her to the point where she requested to move away from me in Spanish class. So speaking of Spanish class, let's talk about one of my favorite stories. Let's talk about the story where we ordered pizza to our classroom when there was a substitute, and I left Liz high and dry because I did not want to get in trouble. So Liz, go ahead and take it away.
I actually think about this often and to this day, and it's probably one of my core memories that I'll never lose, because you did me so fucking dirty.
I did her dirty.
Okay, so we were in the class together before, math class, and we discussed and decided we were ordering a pizza from Papa John's. And just one single pizza, and we had a sub that day, so we knew it was going to fly. And then we were just watching movies, so it was like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And so we're in Spanish class, and I was like, be by the door, be by the phone, because the front office calls, I need you to pick it up. And the phone rings, and your ass just sits there like a little bitch and left Ashley to answer it. And then she's like, there's a pizza guy who wants to deliver pizza. I'm confused. And I was like, yeah, that's all right. I was like, shut up. Shh. And then the pizza guy comes, and I remember he had disgusting long nails, and I was like, ugh, this pizza is going to be dirty. And Anna just sat there like, so I got up, I got the pizza from the guy, I gave him the money, and the
substitute was pissed, like, stop the movie. It was like, who do you think you are, ordered a pizza to disrupt in the class, blah blah blah, like, give me that pizza. Didn't he take the pizza?
He took the pizza. I believe he threw the box in the garbage, but I recall taking it out of the garbage, putting it in the refrigerator in home ec class,
Okay.
and then bringing it to like a potluck thing we had the following day.
Ew. Okay. That pizza traveled a lot. Okay.
The pizza didn't physically touch the trash, but like the box went in.
And then we were going to get into trouble because he was like, I'm going to tell your teacher and you're going to get in trouble. And then you had to conjure up an eating disorder to keep us from getting into trouble.
I talked to Mr. Graham, R.I.P., the one and only teacher that like was ride or die. And I said, listen, this is what happened in Spanish class. I need your help. I need you to tell Miss Johnson that you told me to order up food. And he was down for me. And I believe he had a conversation because Miss Johnson pulled me aside and talked to me
about your eating disorder. Because you said like he said like you had to eat because you weren't getting enough calories.
Yeah, I wasn't eating that day and I wasn't eating enough. And he had asked me to eat before track practice.
Yes. But I, as you can see, do not ever commit a crime with me because I will leave you out to get in trouble.
Anna was dead silent. She didn't like speak up. She wasn't like.
I hated getting in trouble at school at that time, but later in life, I was always into trouble. I was always in the office for being bad. So that was at the time when I was very like mousy and like not about to get in trouble.
But it turned out fine. We ended up eating the pizza regardless, and no one got in trouble.
Nobody got in trouble. So let's talk about school dances. So what I remember from school dances is that everybody would stand on the side for like the first like half hour, and then it would turn into like nasty. Well, what we called it back then. Now it's called twerking, but we called it freak dancing. But like everybody would start dancing with each other. I never went with a date. People think like twerking's bad. Like I feel like we were like basically dry humping.
I remember like feeling dicks on my butt in high school.
That's so gross. Like why were we so, I don't know. Teens I guess are just really horny all the time. But I remember my first time dancing with a boy was actually my 8th grade like Christmas dance where like I actually went out and got a dress, got my hair done, blah, blah, blah. And I danced with this boy the song was called Let Me Ride That Donkey. And I will never forget that because it was like eye-opening experience. Let me ride that donkey. Yeah, like why was that playing at an 8th grade dance is the real question.
That was the jam.
So dances were wild, but we'd always go as a girl group. We never went with dates. I went with a gay date once.
I think about like how much time and effort and little things I was worried about. I was like, my nail polish is chipped. My toe, I got to paint my toes. And it's like, nobody was looking at anything I did. Why did I try like 3 hours in advance to start curling my hair in those tight ass curls?
Right? Oh yeah. Always a tight curl, always a half up, half down do. Yeah. It was, nobody cared. And honestly, like, yeah. And I look back and I was like, oh my God, what a tragedy. How bad I looked. Like my hair was always like unkempt. My dresses were from Deb. I don't even think that store is open anymore, but it was like R.I.P. Deb. I think it went bankrupt, but it was just like mainly for like girls dance clothes, like for school dances. It's kind of like, what is it comparable to? What's that one store in the mall that sells like dance clothes? I forget.
Basically, they would have like spray painted shirts that said baby girl on it and like shoes that strippers should be wearing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, they weren't even shoes that strippers should be wearing. I feel like there were a lot of kitten heels going on.
I feel like there was a lot of clear high things that we didn't have any.
I don't know what Deb you were going to, but mine were like filled with like silver kitten heels, like something like a elderly woman would wear at church. But you went to the good Deb. But yeah, it was like it was fun though. Like I just remember that was the most excitement because we'd have like one every like I guess, semester. Like we'd have homecoming and then Christmas dance and then prom. I remember these two like quote unquote nerdy guys asked me and my friend Brittany to the dance. And one of them actually I think both of them had a crush on me. I can't recall. I don't know. Something along those lines. And I remember my dad said, "Why are you going to prom with Napoleon Dynamite?" Because that's what one of them looked like. And I went to prom and it was like very underwhelming. Like it was not that fun. That year, I went as a sophomore and then I went as a junior, and that's your senior year. And that was underwhelming as well. And then my senior prom was just awful. Like I think I went home early because it was so boring, but it was probably not fun because I was completely sober. And I just remember girls walking in, like stumbling in, like eyes rolling in the back of their head, like blammo, blackout, wasted. And I was not. So it wasn't as fun as they make it seem on TV. And I wasn't going on with a date or anything. Like, so I had no like hype around it. So
maybe that's why we gravitated towards each other, because we were like never like the kids that like had to drink to have a good time. Or I never even thought about like drinking before a dance.
No.
Like that wasn't even on my radar.
No, it wasn't even like because we would literally like belly laugh to the point of getting like 6-pack abs, and we were completely sober. So there was like no need to drink or do drugs. And I think I was like straight edge when I was 15, which is like stupid because you can only be straight edge if you have access to like those things. I had no access. Like nobody was inviting me to parties and I didn't want to go. So yeah, those were dances. And then you got your license before I did because you're a year older than me. But I do remember you used to be driving dirty because you only had your permit, and we would go to the movie theater, and like that's pretty much all we did. But let's talk about the time. Well, the first time we got into a car accident was on our way to like a hotel party. And that guy rear-ended you and like sped off. Do you remember that?
Yes. And you were like, my neck. And I was like, oh shit. And it wasn't my fault because I remember we were at a red light, but they hit the back of us and they sped off. And then I remember calling 911 because that's what you do when you get in an accident. And I was like, someone just hit and run. And they're like, okay, describe the car. And I was like, white, regular. Like I didn't know anything about cars. I didn't look at the make and model. I didn't look at like the license plate. And I was all like, okay, well this was pointless. Like, okay, white regular car, look for that.
And they're like, all right, we're getting right on that. And they hung up and didn't do anything else.
But we went about our business.
Yeah, we went about our business, went to the hotel party.
No booze
at the hotel party. We just wanted to have a slumber party.
We just had some chips and chicken wings, if you remember.
Yes. Yeah. And I didn't eat them. Was I vegetarian at that time? I can't remember.
I remember you ate a chicken wing, but you told me not to tell.
Oh, wow. She's telling after all. She's kept my secret all these years. And then I remember we made prank phone calls that whole evening. So if anybody under the age of 25 is listening, there were these things called phone books. And we just went through the phone book. We would star 67 our number so that it would be like restricted. And then we'd call like random people. And I remember one time we called an elderly woman and said that we were like kidnapped.
We were lost and scared. She's like, where are you? And I'm thinking back, this was awful. Like, what if we like had people really concerned about
I'm sure we did. She sounded very concerned. Like she was going to find out where we were. So yeah, that was very immature of us. So another car accident I remember is on our way to a homecoming dance, and we were rear-ended. People love to rear-end you. What was happening?
It's probably me and my braking. They're like, is she going? Is she not?
Yeah. So she got rear-ended, and then we got out of the car and the guy was like, you look so nice, ladies. And it's like, you just fucking hit us. Like, and we're like 12. Like
there was no damage. So we just went about our business, but he was like trying to smooth talk us. He was like, oh, you ladies look nice. What are you off the way to?
Yeah. And it's like, first of all, grandpa, like we should sue you. We should have acted like we were really injured. So
we were trying to go to that dance. Also, there was no damage to my Kia Rio, which
Ah,
was in optimal position till the day it died.
yes, yes. And I remember that Kia Rio because you had a system, but you didn't like to turn it on. You aren't, Liz is not a,
It came with the
with the
system.
car.
It came with
Yes.
the
So she would press the button and like she had the loudest bass, but Liz never utilized it really because Liz doesn't like loud music in her car to this day.
it was like hurting my ears. It was like, and it was like shaking me. And it was like, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah, which brings us to music. I feel like in high school, like you were all about the pop and like the current like music or whatever. And like went back and forth. Like I was like hardcore rap or hardcore screaming music. There was like no in between at that time of my life. And I'm still that way. Like you don't know what you're gonna get in my car. You don't know if you're gonna get Knuck If You Buck by Crime Mob or Sleeping with Sirens. Like there's no in between. Like there's no like middle ground. But you were like pop princess, current hits, all of that. So, and I remember you introduced me to Fifi Dobson. Where is she?
I think in England.
I mean, yeah, I think she's in England. I remember she was dating this rapper. What's his name? He's like not attractive. But wherever Fifi Dobson is, I hope she's doing well because those were some jams. But yeah, so we like listened to different music, but we mostly bonded over our love of NSYNC because we loved NSYNC so much, which led us to perform. It was kind of a talent show, but it was called Mock Rock. It was like a lip syncing competition. And we performed NSYNC I Want You Back. And truly an iconic performance that I have not seen from somebody else's point of view, but we practiced for weeks. It was like on point. The choreography, me and Liz choreographed the whole thing.
I think about how poorly done that performance was because the people who won, do you remember they had like a video recording of them like beforehand pretending to be like rock? Like they had like the video recording set up. They had like a act that they had put in beforehand. They had costumes and we were just there in our rip off pants and tank tops.
I feel like that was like indicative of the like time we were in high school. We weren't trying to like, win money or anything like that. And I think you just won like bragging rights. There was like no prize to be won. Yeah. So we didn't know this was our first time. So we just like went out to go have fun. I thought we did really well. Like people were talking about it the next day.
Were they? No one who was talking about it. I hope
it was good things. Yeah, it was good things. But yeah, we performed NSYNC's I Want You Back. I still remember most of the choreography.
We performed it at my wedding. I made them play that.
Yes.
Because I had you and Brittany and I pushed other people. I was like, get off the dance floor.
Get off the dance floor. We're performing right now at 29 years old. Like, how embarrassing. But yeah, so we bonded over NSYNC. I also remember the multiple sleepovers we used to have at your house. I do remember one that was very problematic. It would be very problematic now. It was the one on Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. And we were supposed to be watching Roots. Do you remember this?
I do.
How embarrassing. Like, and we invited only minorities, we said.
Yep. Minorities only invited to that particular party.
Embarrassing. But people came. And we celebrated Martin Luther King the only way we know how, by watching Roots.
But I think we'd really more so ate and drank. We didn't drink alcohol.
Guys, I'm telling you right now, this is a Christian podcast. We were not drinking or doing drugs.
We were hanging out, eating, laughing. I had the hot tub going. We did some more prank calls. I did impressions of Barbara from Teen Mom, I think.
Can you do it right now? Can you do a Barb?
I wish I would have practiced if I knew this would come, but it would be like, Janelle, you and your boyfriend Keith are outside doing drugs in the front yard. That sounds more like someone who...
Good old Barb. Good old Barb from Teen Mom. But that show's still on too, by the way. Like their babies are like 18 years old. Like, why are we still Teen Mom in it? But yeah. So, and then I would like to talk about like our dating lives in high school. I had no dating life at all. Like I didn't even go out on dates when I was that age. You did have boyfriends, multiple boyfriends, but they were like they were high school boyfriends. Like they would last for a couple weeks or whatever. But you had a dating life. So talk about that. Like who asked who out first and like how did this happen? Tell us. I'm living vicariously through you still as a 32-year-old woman.
I mean, high school dating was basically you would go out to eat.
Yeah.
You would hang out at each other's houses, watch movies, and attend dances together. Like that's basically high school dating. It could have been more to it, but that's definitely like wasn't my personality or who I was dating's personality. Like we didn't party, we didn't drink, we didn't do drugs. We were literally like watching movies and hanging out.
Being completely innocent. Yeah. No, I never dated because I never wanted to. And also like there was like 5 people to choose from in our high school. And anybody that I wanted didn't go to our high school. Like they didn't exist. It was usually like I went through phases. Like I went through like I only liked like boys with the emo haircuts, which I like would throw up right now. Like ugh.
And that was hard to find in our school. There wasn't many of them.
No, that were normal. That weren't like wearing like capes and stuff, like being weirdos. I also remember though, I went through like when I was going through my emo phase, I also, which I'm going to post some pictures of my emo phase on my Instagram, some like never before seen pics. Also, I used to hang out with like guys in like bands. But now that I look back and we've talked about that.
This is controversial.
This is so controversial because like I was 15 hanging out with men over the age of 20. Why were they hanging out with me and my friends? Like we were children. And like I remember the one specific guy that I like ended up having a crush on. And I think I went on one date with him. He was 23 years old. Like that is, I would never let my daughter hang out with somebody that age. And I don't think my mom realized like how old he was or like, and I think she trusted me enough to know that like if something was wrong, like I would tell her, or if like, and we weren't doing anything inappropriate, but still like, why was he hanging out with me and taking me out on dates? And he sold me my first car. Do you remember that?
If you think about it, you guys weren't having sex, you weren't drinking, you weren't doing drugs, you were literally hanging out, and they were like in their 20s. Like, ugh. What?
Like that is so disgusting. But it just like goes to like what's going on right now, because I don't know if you probably haven't been following this, and only I have, but they're like all these stories coming out about like Warped Tour, and like basically all those bands were like preying upon young girls. Like that was like a whole thing, and it wasn't just like happening to me and my friends. It was happening all over the country, where these like band guys would like seek out young girls and like rape them, sexually assault them, etc. So like that whole scene is like sketchy. So
well, I feel because you guys kind of like they were just basic Muskegon band guys, like nothing special, but you guys kind of like idolized them in a way.
Yeah.
And so like obviously 20-year-old girls weren't doing that, so maybe it's just more appealing to be like someone who like thought of them so highly.
Yeah. Well, and then also we would idolize, like we would meet these guys that were from different states. Do you remember when we traveled, me and Brittany traveled to Indiana to go see this band of guys that lived there?
Didn't Jesse go with you?
Yes. And they were like in their late 20s. Like that is like no wonder my mom never wanted me to leave the house. Like there's some weirdos out there. And I was like doing like shady stuff. And it was only to go see them and hang out with them, and it was not cool. It was not chill at all. Like they were too
honestly at the time I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't like, you guys are too young. I didn't feel like weird about it.
No, because we didn't know, and we thought it was like all in innocent fun and games. But now like as adults, I would never as a 30-year-old woman hang out with anybody under the age of 25. Like you're a child to me. Like that's predatory behavior. But yeah, so like that was my high school. I went through like the scene emo phase where I would only go to like concerts with bands who screamed, and I truly still love it. But it was a weird environment because it was like very like you were either straight edge, which means you didn't do drugs, smoke, or drink, or you were like a drug addict and did like hella drugs and like drank. So like there was like two different types of like scene emo. And then there was also, it was like very like elitist. Like you couldn't listen to certain bands and go to certain shows, or else like people would like talk shit about you on the internet. So, which brings me to the next topic, which was the internet. You weren't very active on social media back then. You're still not active now. You don't have an Instagram or a personal like page, like, but back then, even with MySpace, like you were not on there as much as I was. Why was that?
I think I didn't know how to utilize it, or I wasn't utilizing like other people were. Like I wasn't like chatting with friends, or I don't know. I was like, what am I doing on here? I'm just like posting something, and I don't know. You know what? The internet's not for me. Call me a grandma.
Yeah, I feel like you're just like a normal person who's like, who cares what I'm doing all day? Like, I don't even care what I'm doing all day. So where I was like, I need to like, I would have a live journal, which is, once again, if you're under the age of 25, live journal was like a diary, online diary. And you would literally like write what you did all day, or like write your feelings, and people would comment on it. And it was like a weird place, because like I'm glad I deleted mine, but I went on there and I'm like, people should delete this because this is embarrassing. And there was a lot of like, hey, where's the party at? Like, who has alcohol, etc. Like, it was weird. And then MySpace, it was just a place to be messy, honestly, because I would get on there to show people I was mad at them, because I would change my top 8, which was your like top 8 friends that would show up on your page. And that's how people would know I was mad at them, or if they knew I had a crush on them. Because if you put a boy in your top 8, that meant you had like a crush on them.
Maybe I just didn't have enough people to fill my top 8, where I was like, this is embarrassing. I can't get on this.
And yeah, it would truly like start fights with my friends, because I would like take them like, and your best friend would be your number 1.
Top 8 was rough. Like,
yeah,
everyone could see it, so they knew.
Yes. So like, if you didn't have your best friend as your number 1, it would like cause a rift, and it caused many a rift with my best friend Brittany at the time. And then if you put a boy in there, like, everybody like, oh my gosh, you guys dating? Like, that's how you'd like show that you're like dating or whatever. So yeah, it was an interesting time for the internet. Like, there was like no rules or regulations also. So like, I would see stuff that as a teen I shouldn't be seeing. Like, you'd click on somebody's profile and it'd be a picture of a dick. Like, yeah, like without warning. And then I would get on there to like show what kind of music I was listening to. And most of the time it was music I didn't even like. It was just try to get somebody's attention, like a boy's attention, which
I remember you could put music to your page. So when you clicked on it,
which people would just turn it off, because like, I don't want to hear somebody else's music besides my own. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Which brings me to, speaking of boy doing things for male attention, I became a vegetarian. I do like animals, but I liked meat at the time, but also because there was a boy in my class who was a vegetarian and I wanted to get his attention. I don't want to say his name because I don't know where he is, and I'm pretty sure he was not into women, but he was a vegetarian. I became a vegetarian. It lasted for over 10 years for personal reasons, but it truly started because he was a vegetarian. I was like, oh, he's gonna like me if I'm a vegetarian. Did he like me? No, he didn't even care.
I remember one time at lunch you were eating chili cheese French fries.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember, someone pointed out that there was meat in the chili or something, and then you went into the bathroom to vomit.
Yeah, so I was so dramatic. Like, that is not even necessary. And then as I got older, like in college, I took it very seriously. I would never eat anything with meat byproducts in it and all that stuff because of like health reasons. And then because I was like all about animals. And then I realized looking back how unhealthy my diet was, because it was just like French fries and salads. So
I was about to say, I think we went to the doctor and they were like, you need to eat more.
Yeah, because I was like tired all the time. They're like, yeah, you're tired.
Right. You had like low iron. I think that's what got you back in the meat, because you were like not feeling well.
No, I wasn't feeling well. And also I was like gaining an absurd amount of weight my final year of college. And it was due to like my body like rejecting like the nonsense I was eating. So I was just gaining weight. But yeah, so like that was high school. And then I don't know how to, like, I feel like there was a lot of pressure also in high school to like look a certain way. I remember it was like very in style when we were in high school to be like a tiny size 0 and to be super tan and also have very straight hair. Cause I remember that's like when straighteners were like very popular. And it was like very traumatizing to me because I feel like I still have body dysmorphia because of how girls were like supposed to be back then, which was a size 0, like looking like Paris Hilton. So remember thinking I was obese, and I look back and I think I weighed a total of like 102 pounds and I thought I was obese. So did you feel that in high school?
To be honest, I didn't, but I also feel like I didn't like surround myself with people who were that type of person. I surrounded myself with normal, average people.
Well, all my friends were normally average. It was like the media that was like, you have to look like the Laguna Beach girls. Cause like none of my friends were like size 0s.
The hair pressure I did feel. And obviously I like crisped it up and it was like burnt ended and like split ended because I was like going over that same part. And it was wet too.
You're always wet. You know, nobody knew to like blow dry their hair first, then straighten or put like a protecting product on there so you didn't fry your ends. It was bad. It was really bad. But I couldn't do that because I'm black and I don't have hair that straightens naturally wet. Like, that's weird that I even thought that. But I truly thought, I was like, my hair needs to be super straight. So I would get chemical like perms, straighteners in my hair, and that like damaged my hair like until I was an adult. So, and I stopped getting them. But it was like a lot of pressure. I am glad, however, about high school is that we didn't have YouTube tutorials to show us how to do makeup. Like everybody's makeup looked like shit. And I feel bad for girls now because you have to look like a fucking museum, like painting. Your makeup has to be like on point. And back then I was like putting on my blue powder eyeshadow with my fingers. And now there's like 10 different brushes to use.
No one really wore, I don't really remember people like wearing makeup in high school.
No, we didn't wear foundation.
We were all on a level playing field of just being basic, average looking bitches.
Yes, absolutely. Basic, average looking bitches, but also looking like kids, which now, like, no shade to like 13, 14-year-olds, but like, I'm like, damn, you look more grown than I do because they like literally have so much product on and they don't look like, you know, natural. So I feel bad for kids nowadays, but they probably feel bad about us because we were like, I thought I was like doing a wing eyeliner, but it was really just like trash. It was like a line on my eye. And I thought I was like the baddest bitch. Yeah. So high school, do you miss it? Do you think you peaked in high school? Because a lot of people think they peak.
I don't think I peaked yet. I'm still waiting for that peak to happen anytime, any day.
Yeah. Only thing I miss about high school is not paying bills. That's like the only thing I miss. And the freedom.
I was going to say friendship and freedom.
Yeah.
Probably the best part.
Yeah. And it was just like such a like innocent time, like all around because there was no social media. There was like, you know, genuine connections between people. And I mean, obviously there's no coronavirus either. If I could go back to that would be great. But that's the only part I miss about high school. I do not miss, like, I really don't speak to anybody from high school besides you. And I'm not one of those people that will ever go to their reunions because I'm like, if we were meant to like stay in touch, we would stay in touch. Especially, I understand like our parents' generation, they didn't have social media, so obviously that'd be the only way they could get together all at once. But now it's like, if I want to talk to you, I would have been talking to you, and I really don't want to keep up what you're doing or like. And I feel like, especially in our hometown, everybody's doing the exact same thing as when I left them. So there's
with social media, you can see, like, I don't need to get together with you. I can see that you're selling scentsies on the internet.
I can see you're in an MLM. Like, I can see that you're in a marketing scheme. So
you're 2 kids deep and that you're in the midst of divorce. I don't need to go
I don't
to a
need
reunion to see that.
Yeah. So we grew up in Muskegon, Michigan, and I feel bad for people who still live there because I'm like, what is there? Like, you guys should leave. Like, there's other things out there, but people are content, and it's just like that small town vibe of like, I know everybody. I grew up, everybody. My family's here. My friends are here. Why leave? Where I was like, get me the fuck out of here ASAP. So yeah, that was me. Yeah. So that was high school. That was Liz. I hope nobody like fell asleep during this episode because we're reminiscing and they're like, I don't know, all these like inside stories.
Our memories are keeping you entertained.
Yeah, they're like, I have my own memories of high school. And I'm sorry to the people who thought I was cool in high school because I definitely wasn't. I don't think I became cool. I'm still not cool. I'm waiting for that. Like you're waiting for your peak. I'm waiting to become cool. So I wasn't cool in high school. I don't know when I'll be cool, but hopefully one day it happens. And maybe it'll happen from this podcast. Maybe not this episode, but we'll see. So any last words about high school, Liz, or any last words about...
Well, I was going to ask, do you feel that you peaked at any, like, you feel high school, college?
I think I peaked when I was 26, TBH. Like when I first moved here, I peaked. Because that's like when I was like the most physically fit. Also, my life was like popping. Like I was like on the move, on the go. I was like going to Vegas, traveling, living my best life. Like not to say that I'm not living my best life now, but I'm like 20 pounds heavier. I haven't left the house in days. I think I've worn this shirt like 10 times in quarantine. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I peaked. Maybe I didn't. If you know me personally, tell me if I peaked in my Instagram comments when I post the show notes. So you guys can follow me on Instagram at AnnitudePod. Also Twitter, AnnitudePod. You can also email me, AnnitudePod@gmail.com. If you have any ideas for future episodes, anything you want me to talk about, you have a relationship or friendship questions you want me to answer on air. Anything else, Liz?
Not that I can think of. Oh, I was going to say go Hawks, but I meant Cardinals.
Oh my, speaking of go Cardinals, I was thinking of one of our cheers. It was Cardinals, eat them up. But Cardinals don't eat things like that. Like they eat seeds. So that wasn't very aggressive. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's one of my high school memories is that cheer. Go Cardinals. And if it's day, night, wherever you are, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.